Yogis and Yoginis, Ashley Josephine here. Today I want to share with you the story of crow and crane. So you may be familiar with the yoga postures crow and crane. People are less familiar with crane. You might have heard both words, and you might think that they are two names of one single yoga posture. And that is not true. Crow and crane are different yoga postures. A lot of times yoga instructors call out crow, and in fact the posture that you take or the yoga instructor shows you is really the posture crane. So where did these postures come from? Where did we get the posture crow and where did we get the posture crane? Well, there's two different yogic texts that we can trace the crow and the crane to. The Mahabharata, which is an Indian epic and is a seminal text in Indian philosophy, gives us the story of the crane. And the supreme yoga Yogi Vashista, which is a Vedanta text, a Vedanta philosophy, and another yogic text, gives us the story of Busutta the crow. Going back to language for a moment, in Sanskrit, Bakasana, Baka means crane, and so Bakasana is crane pose, Kakasana is crow. Kaka in Sanskrit means crow. So the next time if you are a yoga instructor you call out Bakasana, make sure that you're doing crane, and if you are calling crow, the Sanskrit word is Kakasana, Kaka. So when we think of the posture crow, Kakasana, remember kaka is the Sanskrit word for crow, we think of this sense of equanimity, being attached to nothing, staying present, not thinking about the future or thinking about the past. So let's look at Kakasana crow pose. My little saying is crow is low. Our crow pose, we're going to stay low to the ground. We're going to spread out our knees wide. Those knees are symbolic of the wings. When you think of a crow flying, it almost looks like it's suspended in space sometimes, as it kind of goes back and forth and allows the wind to carry it. So our wings are wide, we're flying, and we have this sense of equanimity looking out at the horizon. We are not worried about what's going to happen in the future, and we're not worried about what's happened in the past. We're equally balanced on our hands so that we can fly and float on our hands, on the ground. And we're going to think about the breath. Think about the breath beginning from the heart and expanding outward, the exhale coming out and back in. This constant move of breath in and out. Think of a magnetic field around the body that also includes this sense of prana, this sense of life force, your energy, your vitality. This is the quality of crow, Kakasana, as told by Basunda in the Yogi Vashista. So, I think it's easiest to get into crow Kakasana from Malasana, a frog squat, a yogi squat. Stay low, bring your hips low to the ground here. If you want to open the hips, if you need to do a little bit of warm up to open the hips, I absolutely recommend that. You can use the elbows to press the legs out. Engage the core and press the palms down on the ground about shoulder width apart. Now, this is really more about finding a sense of balance in the body, that equanimity, than it is about really trying to effort yourself into the posture with muscle. Think about releasing all of that, releasing the attachments, releasing the fear, and instead floating and trusting in that equanimity and that faith. The hands are down on the ground, the knees stay wide. Press the legs into the outside of the triceps and the triceps back out into the legs. Lift up onto the toes and bring the weight forward into the hands. Make sure that your elbows are bent and your your triceps create a bit of a shelf. From there, with the core engaged and the breath equal and you're aware of the breath, the knees stay wide, the back stays long, the hips and the shoulders stay in line with one another and the gaze is down and out. Continue to breathe and stay low here, and this is Kakasana crow. And from here we can play with some of these pranayama breath practices once we get comfortable being able to float in crow. So you may have seen crow, kakasana, before, you may have not. Crow is low. Stay low to the ground, hips and shoulders stay level, and the knees stay really wide. We've got this story where Yudhishthira meets his father, the Lord of Death, who has been hidden and cloaked in the body of a crane, in the spirit of a yuksha, a forest spirit, testing his oldest son to make sure that he has been doing his spiritual work. And we have this posture, this crane posture. We think about cranes, we think about very regal beings, but we're testing death. And in the posture crane, we put our elbows up high, as high up into our armpits as we can. Physiologically, in our body, we have a lot of lymph sitting in our armpits. Lymph is an immune system component in our body. We need the lymph to help save our immune system and keep our immune system strong. But the lymph doesn't have a pump. We have to move or manually stimulate the body through things like massage to get the lymph moving and to keep our immune system strong. When we come into crane, we put our elbows close up to the armpits. We stimulate some of that lymph. We get it moving. We cheat death. We think about cranes as being these regal beings. They're very patient, just like Yudhishthira was very patient. And when we look at the qualities of cranes, they're also extremely, although they are territorial, they tend to stay in their territory and they respect their territory. So they don't go in and take what is not theirs. Cranes are patient. Crows, they kind of go around the horizon and they look all over the place, and they are kind of greedy, right? They go down all together and they're grabbing all of the food that they find on the road, even if they didn't kill it. Cranes, on the other hand, they're very patient, they're very regal, they stand very still, and then they go and they get their prey, the fish in the water. They wait for their food to come to them. Death waits for us to come to it, unless we cheat it, unless we live our spiritual path, we live our dharma, we do our spiritual work, we move the body, we do the right thing, and we respect good and right conduct in our life. So crane, the shape of a crane, when you think about it, it's got kind of a big body and a long neck and long legs. And so crane is when the hips are really high and we have this kind of angled like position. So we can start from a malasana, a frog squat again. We can place the palms of the hands on the ground, but now I want you to lift the hips up and place the knees right on the back of the triceps, and that's where we create that massage of the knees into the armpits where there's that lymph. We bring the weight forward, we lift the hips up high, you engage through the core, gaze down, and from there lift the toes up towards the ceiling. So this is where the hips are high, the head stays down, we are patient, we remember to breathe, we think about dharma and our path in life, we do not try and take from others, we allow ourselves to be just where we are. And then we slowly come on down. Thank you for staying with me and for listening, and I'll be with you again soon. Namaste.